Thanks for joining us live at Trojan Stadium, and welcome to PO Sports Talk. I'm Ed Gotwals along with Mike Miller. Well, we had a few surprises last week that we didn't see coming. Some good, some bad, I'd say. We certainly didn't see Chambersburg beating Carlisle by 4 touchdowns, although I did pick the Trojans, but it was only by a point. I caught a little grief on that, but I did pick the right team anyway. We did not see Waynesboro beating West Perry on the road either, but Johnny Adgers kind of went crazy last week. Mike will have more on that later. And we didn't see Ship's unbeaten season coming to an end, except I actually tried to pick that.
We did see it coming, but you just didn't. You didn't stick to your guns that time.
No, I did. I just didn't have a chance to pull the trigger like I should have. Anyway, this is week 8 coming up for the football season, and let's see what it looks like. Friday at 7 o'clock, Chambersburg plays at State College. Just to start this off, here are the scores of the 7 games against State College since Chambersburg started playing them. 41-20, 50-5, 42-0, 43-0, 38-3, 46-14, and 39-14. All State College's favor. I don't see that kind of game this year. Chambersburg's having a much better year than usual. They're 5-2 right now. State High is 3-3, and they're down a little bit. So I think at the bare minimum it's going to be a close game. State College played Carlisle 2 weeks ago and beat them 38-28. And then last week they struggled to beat Lower Dauphin 30. I think it was 34-31 in overtime. They needed a field goal late just to get to overtime. So I think this is Chambersburg's time to beat them if they're going to beat them. I think if Chambersburg can play defense like they have the last couple weeks, I think maybe they can hang in there. I'm going to pick Chambersburg 31-28 in that one. Hopefully. Hopefully. Another game Friday night is Greencastle at Northern at 7 o'clock. Mike, you got stuff on that?
After last week's win over James Buchanan, Greencastle coach Chuck Tanenis said it's championship time now. He looks at their schedule. They got Northern this week. After that, they got Ship. It's really crunch time right now for the Blue Devils. Then again, last week against James Buchanan, they really didn't play that well. They weren't as crisp offensively or defensively. They committed too many penalties. There was just they weren't really in sync. Then again, they stomped the Rockets 55-6. Denver Cordell had a big game for them. Going into this week against Northern, you might be able to look at it maybe as a bit of a trap game. Northern's coming off that big win over Shippensburg last week. But I really think that right now Chuck Tanenis has the team buckled down, ready to go into the postseason. I'm picking Greencastle in this game, 35-14. So I think
that's certainly possible.
The Blue Devils are going to get back on track this week, heading into that big game against Shippensburg next week.
Okay. Speaking of Shippensburg, they play a home game this week against Waynesboro at 7. Normally this wouldn't be much of a game, but Waynesboro has shown they're definitely a team to deal with this year.
They certainly are. They have Johnny Adgers, who last week he led all rushers in the mid-state with yards. He had 364 yards, 5 touchdowns, just a monster game for Johnny Adgers. I mean, he's just had a magical season this year for the Indians. He's small, but he's quick and he's fast and he's hard to take down. I mean, he's like a little Ray Rice out there. He really is. He's tough to bring down.
I knew you'd throw a Ravens reference in there somewhere.
This is going to be a somewhat interesting game. It'll all come down to the rushing game for Waynesboro, because that's how they've been successful this year, riding on Adgers' coattails. Then again, Ship's defense has, they've stepped up this year. They've been pretty tough against the run. They're going to be looking to bounce back from the loss to Northern last week. This is a tough one. I went 27-14 Shippensburg, but it could be a close game, especially if Shippensburg can't contain Johnny Adgers. They let him run loose early. It could get out of hand. So it'll be a close game, but I'm going to side with Shippensburg on this one. Just going with the proven track record, really.
Okay. We also, Friday night at 7 o'clock is Big Spring at James Buchanan. Here's why this is a bad matchup for the Rockets. The Bulldogs' main weapon is fullback William Weiser. He's a big guy. He's probably bigger than most of the Rockets linemen, and he's got an awful lot of yards for Big Spring. And that's running, and especially running in the middle. That's been the hardest thing for JB to stop so far. So that's going to make it awful tough for the Rockets. I think JB's best bet is to score early and dictate a little bit of the game that way. But I see Big Spring probably 35-14 in this one. And that's it for Friday game. Saturday we have Spingarn DC at Mercersburg Academy at 2 o'clock. And the last few years, Mercersburg has been able to beat Spingarn. So what do you think on that one?
Spingarn, they've been down on their luck, I guess, the past decade or so, football-wise. But they got 3 wins this year, and for that program, that's a big deal. It's the second year in a row they've won 3 games, so they're riding the high right now. Still, I don't I don't see them making the trip north and knocking off Mercersburg, although Mercersburg had a very tough loss last week, 28-0 to Hill School. I went with Mercersburg last week, and I'm going to keep going with them until they get a victory. I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader the rest of the year. I can't help it. I'm going with Mercersburg this week, 20-7. I think this is finally the week they get it done. They finally get that elusive W.
Okay, we shall see. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at PO Sports Desk. And thanks again for joining us for Sports Talk. Have a good week and enjoy the games.